A car crash threw me into a trashy CEO romance as the obsessive ex-husband of the Ice Queen CEO. Thinking of the original guy's tragic end, I quickly signed my name. Are you absolutely sure about this? My heart skipped a beat, and I instinctively clutched my wallet. Are you kidding me? The massive divorce settlement. I wasn't giving back a single cent. After lying in a hospital bed for 3 days, I finally accepted the reality of my transmigration. Ethan, a regular college guy, had become the villainous side character in a cliché billionaire romance. I was the CEO's ex-husband, a spoiled rich kid who used his family's wealth and power to be an absolute menace. At the university's opening ceremony, I fell for the female lead Chloe at first sight, relentlessly pursuing her and using every trick in the book to get her to marry me. Chloe was the standard campus novel heroine, beautiful, brilliant, but from a poor family. Her father was deaf and mute. Her mother had kidney failure, and to raise money for her mother's medical bills, she finally gave in and married me. Over 5 years of marriage, Chloe grew from an unknown office worker into a business tycoon, and the relationship between us only got worse. Chloe gradually slipped from my control, but I remained blissfully unaware, still acting outrageously until I pushed her first love down the stairs, breaking his leg. That was the last straw for Chloe. She demanded a divorce, and that's when I got into the car accident. Chloe only came to see me on the 3rd day, tossing the divorce agreement at me. Nothing. Have you had enough of your drama? The woman's voice was icy, her eyes filled with impatience and disgust. But even so, the moment I saw her face, my heart still pounded. I blamed the original Ethan for being obsessed. This face was truly stunning. Then I glanced at the divorce agreement, saw the assets I stood to gain, and my heart stopped entirely. Holy crap, I was rich. The original Ethan's family was wealthy, but he was an arrogant, spoiled brat with a younger brother who outshone him in every way. He had no chance of inheriting the family company, but Chloe, in just a few short years, had built an empire, and her assets were staggering. Once we divorced, the settlement would be astronomical. I must have done a lifetime of good deeds to deserve such a windfall. After calculating the money I'd get, I suppressed my excitement, lowered my head, and stayed silent for a long time, afraid a smile would slip out and Chloe would notice something was wrong. Then I took a deep breath. Fine. I agree to the divorce. Chloe froze. She probably never expected me to agree so readily, but opportunity knocks but once. Before she could process it, I scribbled my name on the divorce papers. Chloe seemed to sense something was wrong. Her brow furrowed. You? I turned my head away, my voice filled with feigned despair. I thought it through, Chloe. Let's just let each other go. There was a long silence behind me. Just as I was about to snuggle back under the covers and count my future millions again, I realized Chloe was still standing there, silently staring at the signed agreement, not moving. I asked, puzzled, "Aren't you leaving?" Chloe looked up. I offered a subtle reminder. Isn't that Leo guy's injury still healing? Shouldn't you go see him more?" Chloe's face suddenly turned cold. I felt a little uneasy. Don't tell me she's regretting giving me so much money? But I'd already signed my name. She couldn't back out now. Besides, given how magnanimous I was being, she owed me this money. Chloe had a first love in college, Leo. Unlike the arrogant, domineering rich kid I was, Leo was gentle, sensible, and driven. He came from a single-parent home and grew up poor, but he was determined and excelled in every aspect. In a way, he and Chloe were the same kind of people. He was the only one who could truly understand her, her soulmate. If it weren't for me, they would have naturally gotten together, struggled together in the city after graduation, and built a happy life for themselves. I had ruined all of it. The Ethan in the novel was insanely jealous of Leo, constantly making trouble for him, and finally, in a fit of madness, physically attacked him. From that point on, Chloe completely despised Ethan and cut him off. It doesn't take a genius to figure out how miserable my fate as the villainous side character would be after offending both the male and female leads. So the plan was to take the money and run. Chloe eventually slammed the door and left. I patted my chest and muttered under my breath. Quite a temper. But the thought of the fortune I was about to receive made me happy again. This kind of windfall wasn't something that happened to just anyone. Just then, I received a message on Facebook from Jessica. "Chloe finally decided to grace you with her presence today?" Her tone was laced with mockery. This was Ethan's childhood friend, a spoiled and willful rich girl whose expertise was in having a good time. She looked down on Chloe, and Chloe looked down on her. They were complete rivals. Especially after I married Chloe, our families interacted more, and her grandfather would often use Chloe's success to belittle her, making Jessica despise Chloe even more. She called me a lovesick fool and was always telling me to go pick weeds in her family's garden. This time, she was clearly here to gloat. But did I care? Please, I was busy getting rich and counting my money. Who has time for melodrama? Yeah. I thought for a moment, then snapped a picture of the divorce agreement and sent it to her. Starting today, your boy is single. Buy me dinner, Jessica. She called me immediately, her first words a shriek. Are you insane? TSK, such harsh words. I'm heading to the courthouse to get it stamped as soon as I'm out of the hospital. Luckily, the car crash wasn't too serious, just a knock to the head and a mild concussion. You're not going to celebrate with me. Jessica was quiet for a moment, then she laughed. All right, so Mr. Hamilton, what kind of celebration did you have in mind? I said, I hear you just opened a new bar. A week later, I changed into an expensive suit and walked out of the hospital in style. Jessica stood with her arms crossed, laughing at me. Dressed to the nines in a hospital? Have you lost your mind? It's good. What do you know? Today is a very special day. Jessica couldn't be bothered with me and turned to leave, only to run right into Chloe. Chloe's gaze lingered on her for a second, her eyes turning cold. You're here. I walked over and smiled at her. Where's the car? Chloe's expression softened slightly. In the parking garage. Sure, let's go. Jessica was not having it. She tilted her head, narrowing her eyes at me. Ethan, you're not riding with me? I waved my hand. Hey, I have to go to the courthouse with Chloe to finalize the divorce first. It's more convenient to take her car. With that, I hurried Chloe, who had suddenly frozen in place. What are you standing there for? Let's go. Jessica burst out laughing. Right, this is important business. Don't let it be delayed. Chloe's lips curled into a sarcastic smile. Ethan, you just can't wait to be done with me. What? Weren't you the one who wanted this divorce? Why are you being so passive-aggressive? I answered honestly, mainly because I have other plans. I figured we could get this done early so I don't waste your time. Chloe was always busy, rarely even coming home. I knew she didn't want to see me, and conveniently, I had no intention of staying in contact with her either. We go our separate ways, live our own lives. Isn't that great? Chloe turned and walked away, her face a mask of coldness. There weren't many people at the courthouse, and soon it was our turn. As we were about to go in, Chloe's phone rang. I glanced over. It was Leo. Chloe stepped aside to answer, and I vaguely heard her gentle, soft voice. Yeah, I'm still out, taking care of something. She had never spoken to Ethan in that tone. This marriage was a forced affair from the start. For 5 whole years, they were at each other's throats, unable to even have a peaceful meal together, let alone speak with such gentle concern. The clerk called out twice. Are you two doing this or not? I shook my head, feeling a pang of sympathy for the original Ethan. He really held no place in her heart. Chloe, I called out to her. Can we just get this thing done first this time? Chloe was the type to always prioritize Leo. Ethan had argued and fought, but she remained unmoved. The original guy was a fool, thinking he could ever win against that. What a glutton for punishment. And Chloe, too. If she just prioritized me this one time, she could be with her first love openly and sooner, right? Chloe's expression froze. Then she said into the phone, Dr. Zhang, take a look at him first. I'll be there soon. 20 minutes later, I was holding a freshly issued divorce certificate, tears welling in my eyes. It's mine. My massive settlement is mine. From this day on, I'll travel, drink, eat, and be a happy man. I said to Chloe with the utmost sincerity, Chloe, thank you, and goodbye. Thank you for your money, and also, let's never see each other again. I walked out and immediately spotted Jessica. The woman had driven an incredibly flashy red Ferrari, so eye-catching it was impossible to miss. I steered over happily. I'm rich. I need to spend. Suddenly, Chloe's strained voice came from behind me. Ethan. I turned back quickly. Something else. Her lips were pressed tightly together, her expression unreadable. If it were the old Ethan, seeing her so obviously upset, he would have demanded to know what was wrong. But I couldn't be bothered to pretend anymore. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving. I quickened my pace. For a cannon fodder character like me, staying far away from the male and female leads is the key to happiness. As I drove away in Jessica's car, I glanced in the rearview mirror one last time. Chloe was standing there, people bustling around her, looking strangely lonely. Well, she must be relieved to finally be free of a pest like me. Jessica glanced at me, having second thoughts. What? I said enthusiastically. The pretty girls at your bar. You saved them all for me, right? Jessica was utterly speechless. I was seriously worried about you for nothing. I thought you were so in love with her, but the moment you're divorced, happiness is written all over your face. Was it that obvious? I pulled down the passenger side mirror and took a good look. The current Ethan was 28. Although I'd aged 10 years in an instant, at least this face was handsome, and most importantly, rich. I thought for a moment and offered an explanation. She doesn't love me, so I might as well not love her either. At a red light, Jessica turned and stared at me for a long time. Just as I was starting to feel uncomfortable, she said with an unreadable expression, "This car crash seems to have changed you into a different person." My heart lurched. I was quiet for a moment, then shrugged. I guess when a person has a near-death experience, they see a lot of things more clearly. Jessica was taken aback, then she smiled too. That makes sense. All right, tonight everything's on me. 2 hours later, Jessica regretted it. She asked with a dark face, "Haven't you ordered enough?" She wasn't talking about the drinks. The pretty young women at the bar, or rather the girls, were what she meant. I raised my glass to her. "Come on, have a drink with your big bro." Jessica was speechless. I patted her shoulder, pointing to the circle of beautiful girls. "Look, these girls are all sweet and pretty. Aren't they all better than my ex-wife?" The original Ethan was a fool. There are so many beautiful women in the world, and with his money and looks, why did he have to hang himself on one tree? People are most afraid of getting stuck in a rut. Jessica sneered. "So you finally regained your sight." A slender girl came over to pour me a drink, looking very demure. "Brother, try this one." Sure. I was about to happily accept it when Jessica snatched the glass away. "Don't mix your drinks. You just got out of the hospital. I don't want to be calling 911 for you later." With that, she glanced at the girl, whose face instantly turned pale, and she quickly bowed her head in apology. "I'm sorry, brother. I didn't know." I waved my hand magnanimously. It's fine. I'm happy today." Then I gave Jessica a teasing look. "You're something else, you know. It's okay for you to do whatever you want, but not for me. When all your little boy toys were feeding you drinks, you seem to be having a great time, but when it's my turn, it's a no-go." Jessica laughed in exasperation. "Is that even comparable? Why not? I'm a newly minted rich guy. I can do whatever I want." Jessica suddenly asked again, "By the way, do your parents know about this?" I froze. Oh crap, I forgot about that. Before I could say anything, Jessica looked at me as if she had seen through everything. "I knew you wouldn't dare to tell them." It wasn't that I didn't want to, it was that I didn't dare. The original Ethan's relationship with his family wasn't great. His parents were stubborn and old-fashioned, favoring his younger brother. His personality was rebellious, and he had a huge falling out with them over marrying Chloe. Later, when Chloe's career took off, their attitude did a complete 180, and they repeatedly blamed him for his conflicts with her. Anyway, the villainous side character's life wasn't exactly a walk in the park before. But still, the divorce is final. What do I have to be afraid of? That night turned out to be even happier than I had imagined. I had the housekeeper pack up all of Chloe's things and ship them to her. This villa was originally a wedding gift from Ethan's parents, but Chloe never liked staying here. Perhaps every corner of it reminded her of the humiliation Ethan had brought her. In the beginning, she mostly stayed at the office. Later, as her career soared, she bought an apartment near her company. The original Ethan went there once and happened to run into Leo. Talk about awkward. Although Leo immediately explained that he was just taking shelter from the rain. With Ethan's temper, how could he not get angry? He had a huge fight with Chloe that time, and they gave each other the silent treatment for a month. In the end, it was Ethan who couldn't stand it and gave in. What can you do when she's the only one in his eyes and heart? Well, now it's great. This huge 3-story luxury villa is all mine. Chloe didn't have much stuff here. After clearing it out, it still felt a bit empty, so I immediately went out shopping. Then I started pointing at things in my favorite stores. This one, and not this one. Bag up the rest for me. Of course, Mr. Hamilton. The store manager's smile was so wide it almost split her face. She was happy, and I was happy. Several sales associates followed behind me, carrying my things. I didn't expect to run into Chloe right as I was leaving. She was stunned to see me, and I saw Leo following behind her. It seemed his leg injury had mostly healed. He was even able to go shopping at the mall. Chloe's lips moved, and she actually spoke first. His mom's birthday is coming up, so I brought him here to pick out a gift. I blinked. Oh, why are you telling me this? I don't care. Out of politeness, I still gave a courteous nod. However, before I could take my leave, Leo also spoke up, his expression seeming a bit apologetic. Mr. Hamilton, I'm sorry. My leg is still not fully recovered, so I had to ask Chloe to bring me here. I see you've bought a lot of things. Are they hard to carry? Why don't you let Chloe give you a ride? I'll be fine on my own. Listen to that. The art of conversation. He reminded Chloe that I was the one who pushed him, hinted that I shouldn't be jealous, and generously offered Chloe to me. I smiled and said, no need. My car is just downstairs. Besides, for such personal matters, I'd rather not trouble Miss Sterling. Leo was taken aback. What? I was surprised too and looked at Chloe. Miss Sterling, you haven't told Mr. Leo that we're already divorced? Dead silence. Leo looked at Chloe, his face full of shock. Chloe's beautiful face was tense, her expression not looking good. I don't like to publicize my private life. What are you indirectly calling me out for? All I did was throw a few parties to celebrate. Why so petty? Leo also seemed not to have expected this bombshell, his mouth hanging open. Chloe, you and Mr. Hamilton have. Why didn't you tell me? Hearing his voice, Chloe seemed to remember he was there. Her red lips moved, and after a pause, she explained in a low voice, I've been too busy lately. TSK, she used to love using that line on Ethan. I guess what goes around comes around. Even Leo gets to hear it now. But a male lead is different from a side character. For Leo, this was fantastic news. His eyes darted between me and Chloe, and he said with apparent apology, I'm so sorry. I didn't know before. I didn't mean to bring it up, Mr. Hamilton. You don't mind, do you? Of course I don't mind. She's just a woman I have no connection with anymore. Well, you two go ahead and shop. My personal shopper is holding my things, and they're quite heavy. I'll be going now. Just as I took a step, Chloe suddenly said, Wait. I turned back. Is there something else, Miss Sterling? Chloe frowned, seeming unaccustomed to my sudden change in attitude towards her. Mom said yesterday that you haven't been to see her in a long time. Chloe's voice lowered, as if it was difficult for her to say, but she had to. If you have time, you should go see her. She was talking about her mother with kidney failure. Like Chloe, her mother had always been very fond of Ethan because Chloe had never told her that she was forced to marry him. In the old woman's heart, this young Master Ethan didn't look down on their family's condition and was attentive to Chloe. Of course, she saw him in a favorable light. In the early days of their marriage, Ethan had insisted on taking care of her mother, earning goodwill from the old woman. He knew this was his fastest bargaining chip. Chloe was a filial daughter, and for this reason alone, she wouldn't easily break things off with him. But Ethan had laid a hand on Leo, crossing her bottom line, and with that, he lost his final trump card. I thought about it and agreed. All right, how about tomorrow? After all, the old lady had done nothing wrong. Chloe's expression relaxed, and she naturally added, Then I'll pick you up tomorrow morning. I smiled at her and dangled my car keys. No need. I have hands and feet. I can get around just fine. I'll drive myself. I wouldn't want to trouble Miss Sterling. Both Chloe and Leo's expressions froze simultaneously. The next morning, I set off for the nursing home. This high-end facility was in the suburbs, with excellent facilities and services, and of course, a very high price tag. Mr. Hamilton, you're here. The caregiver greeted me politely when she saw me. This was someone Chloe had hired. Knowing my relationship with Chloe was bad, she was also quite distant with me. Chloe's mother was lying in bed. Years of kidney disease had left her thin and weak, but these past few years in the nursing home had improved her condition. The caregiver's gaze lingered on the thermal container in my hand for a moment, and she pursed her lips with a hint of disdain. Even a caregiver looked down on my attempts to curry favor because she knew that no matter what I did, it would only disgust Chloe. Ethan, Chloe's mother said with a kind smile when she saw me. Have you been busy lately? I haven't seen you in a while. I sighed internally. Ethan had only ever used her, but she had taken it seriously. The old woman had done nothing wrong. A little guilt gnawed at me. I brought you some chicken soup. You should try some later. But Chloe's mother took my hand, looked at me for a long time, and asked cautiously, "Did that girl Chloe make you angry again?" I shook my head, but she didn't believe me. She sighed helplessly. Chloe has been stubborn since she was a child and likes to keep things to herself. If she made you unhappy, you tell me, and I'll talk to her for you. I felt even more guilty. I had planned to tell her about the divorce, but now the words were stuck in my throat, impossible to say. I had lunch with Chloe's mother and chatted with her for a while before leaving. I hesitated for a long time before finally managing to say, "I'm going to be busy for a while, so I might not be able to come and see you often." I'd reduce the frequency first, then find a suitable time to tell her. It should be better that way. It was impossible to hide it forever. Even if I was willing, Chloe wouldn't agree. If I came too often, she'd probably think I still had feelings for her. Chloe's mother patted my hand and sighed softly. "Ethan, you're a good boy. What happened before, Chloe was in the wrong. Although she never mentioned it to me, I know she feels very guilty and regrets it. She loves you so much. How could she not be heartbroken when she lost the baby?" My heart skipped a beat. The baby. That's right. That was the catalyst that completely destroyed the relationship between Ethan and Chloe. Yes, Ethan and Chloe had a child before, and he had used all sorts of means to get it. After Chloe got drunk at a social event. In short, the child's conception wasn't exactly above board. But in Ethan's eyes, this was the most powerful weapon to tie Chloe to him. After finding out she was pregnant, Chloe, on one hand, felt guilty towards her first love Leo, and on the other, couldn't bear to part with her own flesh and blood. In the end, she chose to keep the baby. Her own childhood had been hard enough, so she couldn't bear for her child to be born into a broken family. That period was the best time for her and Ethan. She would immediately eat the supplements Ethan bought for her and would specifically read all sorts of parenting guides. She genuinely wanted to be a good mother. That's why after the miscarriage, she completely broke with him. The incident itself was rather bizarre. After Chloe got pregnant, Ethan sensed her attitude softening and pushed his luck, wanting her by his side at all times. Whenever Chloe tried to refuse, he would use the excuse of prenatal education and bonding with the baby, forcing her to comply. After a while, Chloe became impatient. Once, Chloe had to go on a business trip, and Leo was among the colleagues going with her. Ethan refused to let her go, telling her to send someone else and stay home to rest. Chloe felt he was interfering with her freedom, being overly suspicious and domineering, and they had a huge fight. "Ethan, can you be normal for once? Stop thinking everyone is as dirty as you are." After saying that, Chloe slammed the door and left that very night. Ethan received news that Chloe, due to her anger, had suffered a miscarriage. As you can imagine, once this happened, their relationship completely fell apart, causing a massive upheaval. If before this, Chloe felt disgust for Ethan, after this, it was mixed with hatred. She never set foot in their marital home again, nor did she have any contact with him until Ethan went to find Leo and pushed him down the stairs. This was the last straw. I mean, you have to admit, the original guy was a real piece of work, ruthless. He didn't even spare himself. I was silent for a moment, then said, "It's all in the past. The original Ethan was dead. These matters ended here." Leaving the nursing home, I felt a bit down. I wasn't sure if it was for Chloe's mother or for the original Ethan. Then that feeling peaked when I realized I had somehow lost my car keys. In despair, I called Jessica. "Pick me up now." Jessica found it absurd. "Am I your chauffeur? At your beck and call." "I'm not asking for a free ride," I said. Jessica was speechless. The nursing home was quite remote, and it was hard to even get a cab, so Jessica, resigned to her fate, came to get me. By the time we got home, it was already dark. More importantly, it was pouring rain. Looking at the massive curtain of rain outside, I took pity on Jessica and let her stay, bestowing upon her the guest room on the second floor. I didn't expect the doorbell to ring early the next morning. For God's sake, who's ringing the bell at this hour? I went to open the door half asleep and bleary-eyed. "Who? What are you doing here?" Standing outside the door was unbelievably Chloe. Just as she was about to speak, footsteps came from the stairs, and Jessica's voice, clearly annoyed at being woken up, called out. Who is it? Chloe's face instantly turned cold, each word seeming to be squeezed from between her teeth. It seems I've come at a bad time. My apologies for interrupting. I rolled my eyes. You know you're disturbing people's sleep, huh? And what's with the long face? This is my house, okay? You're just an ex-wife. What right do you have to be angry, to put on that I've been cheated on expression for everyone to see? You've been cheating on me for so long, and I've let it all go. I turned back and said to Jessica, it's nothing. You can go back to sleep. Jessica has a princess complex. She was stuck here because of me after all. The least I could do was ensure she got a good night's sleep, right? Seeing Chloe, Jessica actually seemed to wake up a bit, a lazy smile playing on her lips. We have a guest. It would be rude of me to go back to sleep. And you, Ethan, why don't you invite her in? Speechless. See, I told you this woman gets crazy when she doesn't get enough sleep. I ignored her and looked back at Chloe, with no intention of letting her in. I just had her things cleared out, and I didn't want to dirty the house again and have to bother the housekeeper to clean up. It's so early. Is there something you need, Miss Sterling? I asked. Chloe's face was turning a pale shade of green. Jessica's few words had clearly hit a nerve, but she couldn't lash out. Before, she could have acted as the lady of the house and told Jessica to get lost, but now she had less right to be here than Jessica, who couldn't even get through the front door. But this kind of woman is very resilient, and Chloe was no exception. She took a deep breath, avoided looking at Jessica, and took a key out of her pocket, handing it to me. You forgot this at Mom's yesterday. She insisted I bring it to you. The implication, she was only here because her mother made her come. Oh, thanks, I said, taking the key. You really didn't have to go to the trouble. I have a spare. Chloe was at a loss for words. I waited a few seconds, my patience wearing thin, and gave a subtle hint. Is there anything else? If Chloe couldn't pick up on the hint to leave, she wouldn't have gotten to where she is today. She pressed her lips together. No. Bang. I shut the door. Jessica was standing on the stairs watching me. I asked, puzzled, aren't you going back to catch up on sleep? Why are you staring at me like that? Jessica narrowed her eyes slightly, her arms crossed. Nothing. Just thinking, you're a bit heartless toward your ex-wife. I was utterly speechless. If you have nothing nice to say, you don't have to say anything at all. Jessica lifted her chin. Ethan, don't tell me you can't see what she's thinking. What is she thinking? Jessica leaned back, lazily saying, she wants to see you, doesn't she? Otherwise, she wouldn't have rushed over first thing in the morning just to deliver a car key, and she certainly wouldn't have looked so upset upon seeing me in this house. I tilted my head, and Jessica tapped her fingers on the railing, saying casually, you don't feel anything at all? What feeling? Just because she shows up, I'm supposed to come running back to her. I found it a bit amusing. I do. Jessica looked over, her eyes flickering, her back seeming to straighten. I shrugged. I feel like I should have divorced her sooner. If I had known what kind of person she was, I would have given up on her long ago. Wasted so much of my time for nothing. Jessica didn't seem to expect me to say that. After staring at me for a while, she suddenly turned her head and smiled. Well done, Ethan. Finally showing some backbone. I was so encouraged that I couldn't help but return the compliment. Not at all. I'm still far behind you. This one was the true master of playing the field, leaving no attachments behind. Jessica retorted. How many times do I have to tell you? I have nothing to do with those men. I quickly agreed. I know. You're just playing along with them. You haven't met your true love yet. Isn't that how it always is in novels? The domineering heiress will eventually meet her destined love and pay back her past emotional debts several times over. Jessica looked at me speechlessly, muttered, I knew I couldn't get through to a fool like you, and went back to sleep. I slept until the afternoon, woken up by hunger. When I woke up, I found a bunch of calls and messages on my phone, all from the original Ethan's parents. After a quick scroll, I knew why they were suddenly contacting me. They had found out about my divorce from Chloe. You divorced Chloe? What were you thinking? How many times do we have to tell you? Chloe's company is on a roll right now, and we're in the middle of negotiating a partnership with her. What are we supposed to do now? You're a grown man. How can you still be so impulsive, divorcing just like that? Don't you ever think about anyone else? You're so selfish. I don't have a son like you. It was the same old stuff over and over. I read a bit, and then stopped, heading out to find food. Smells delicious. I stared dumbfounded at the feast on the dining table, and Jessica, who was leisurely enjoying her meal. Jessica, have you no conscience? You're eating all by yourself. Jessica glanced up. Am I supposed to starve for you? I was speechless. That was a very persuasive and irrefutable point. I walked right over, grabbed some chopsticks, and helped myself to the food. Say what you will, but Jessica really knows her food. Even the high-end Italian takeout she orders is better than anyone else's. By the way, your parents called me. They said they need to talk to you, but you're not picking up. Jessica said suddenly. I took another bite of my food. I know. Jessica paused her chopsticks, her eyes sweeping over my phone. Should I make myself scarce? I waved my hand. No need. They can say what they want. What's done is done. They can't do anything about it. Just as I said that, the phone rang again. I answered it, and before I could even get a word in, a barrage of accusations came from the other end. Ethan, you go find Chloe right now. Tell her you were wrong, that you were just acting on impulse. Beg her to take you back. Listening to the shrill female voice, I held the phone a little further away. Ramirez, they've got some nerve. I'm well aware of which is worse, getting yelled at or dying at Chloe's hands. Ethan, are you even listening to me? I finally found a moment to reply. I'm listening, but that's a tough one. I definitely can't do it. The person on the other end got even angrier. Ethan, is that any way to talk to your parents? I asked, puzzled. Didn't you say before that you don't have a son like me? Did you forget? The other end fell silent instantly. She seemed to want to yell some more, but I was tired of listening anyway. I've made myself clear. I'm busy, we can talk another day. With that, I hung up and blocked the number. Jessica, who had witnessed the whole smooth operation, was speechless. She simply put down her chopsticks, looked me up and down for a while, and said in amazement, Well, Ethan, not only did you ditch your ex-wife, but now you're standing up to your parents. My mouth was still full of food, and I mumbled, Where there is oppression, there is resistance. Jessica snorted, leaned forward slightly, propped her chin on her hand, and her red lips curved into a smile. So, does that mean it'll be my turn someday? I gave her a thumbs up, praising her awareness. I wasn't surprised by her reaction. She grew up with the original Ethan and knew his personality and temper very well. In her eyes, everything I was doing now could probably be summed up in one thought. I'd gone crazy. But then again, anyone who had to deal with this mess would go crazy. I'm just a side character without a protagonist's halo. Running away early is the only way to save my own skin, right? By the way, help me look for a new house. I said, This one is nice, but it's annoying to be disturbed every now and then. It wasn't just Chloe, but the original Ethan's family too. They were all a pain. I had completely fallen out with them today, and who knows if they'll show up at my door to cause trouble. I have no interest in dealing with them. Jessica understood. All right, leave it to me. Jessica, true to her status as a third-generation heiress, was surprisingly reliable when you actually needed her. Even though she spent most of her time on leisure, the next day she called me, saying she had picked out a villa on the west side of the city. The original owner is moving abroad and needs to sell it quickly. The house was just renovated and never lived in. You're getting a great deal. I was very satisfied with her efficiency. That same day, I dragged Jessica along to sign the contract with the owner and transferred the property as quickly as possible. Then I immediately put the old house on the market. I called a moving company, and a group of movers were busy going up and down the stairs. I was speechless just watching them. I didn't realize until we started packing that the original Ethan had so much stuff. Don't they deserve a bonus for this? Mr. Hamilton, what's in this box? It's pretty heavy. A mover said, carrying a large cardboard box down from the third floor. The box was sealed tightly, and you couldn't see what was inside. I was just about to go take a look when I suddenly got a call. Hello, is this Mr. Hamilton? This is the Third People's Hospital. Your wife suddenly fainted on the street and was brought to the hospital. Could you please come over as soon as possible? I was stunned. Chloe fainted and was taken to the hospital? You must have the wrong number. I'm not her husband. I explained. The voice on the other end was surprised, but the contact name on the patient's phone. Oh, I remembered. When Chloe was pregnant, Ethan had insisted on changing his contact name on her phone to B.A., baby's daddy Ethan. Chloe couldn't argue with him and just let him. I can't believe it's been a while since the divorce and she forgot to change it. How is she? The patient likely fainted due to low blood sugar. Her life is not in danger, but her overall condition is not good. You should come as soon as possible. I understand, but I'm a bit busy right now. How about this? You call her current boyfriend. His name is Leo. His number should be in her contacts. If there's anything else, just contact him directly. I hung up and saw that the living room was now filled with even more boxes. How long is this going to take to pack? Just move everything out for now. I'll sort it out when I have time. The new house was big enough, so I had the housekeeper help me roughly organize everything. Then I went to play several rounds of games and checked out a new popular barbecue place. The food was good and the decor was a huge plus. I couldn't help but take a few pictures and post them on my feed. Checked in another day of gains. I even included a handsome selfie. My friends all liked it, and even Jessica, who rarely bothers with social media, commented, "This place is good. I didn't know you've been to Jessica's place." Of course I own it. Speechless. You just had to show off, didn't you? What I didn't expect was for Leo to also comment. It was in that polite but accusatory and condescending tone. "Ethan, even though you and Chloe are divorced, she's lying in a hospital bed right now. Is it really appropriate for you not to even come and see her?" I was speechless. Are you serious? His comment made my feed explode. Only a few people knew about my divorce from Chloe, and I hadn't even figured out the divorce announcement post yet. And here he was taking the moral high ground. I replied with my own passive-aggressive comment. A good ex should be like they're dead. I was just afraid you'd misunderstand. If you don't mind, then I'll go. After all, we were classmates. It's only right to visit, don't you think? My feed was in an uproar with people getting worked up. A little while later, Leo deleted his comment. Oh, so deleting it means it never happened? I immediately posted another public inquiry below to all the experts on my friends list. I need advice on what gift is appropriate to bring when visiting my ex-wife and her current boyfriend. Please, this is really important to me. An hour later, I was at the hospital with a fruit basket. I didn't expect to hear Leo's voice full of concern as I approached the room. Chloe, don't be angry. I know I was wrong this time, but I was just doing it for you. Chloe didn't respond. Leo seemed resentful and wronged. You fainted, and the hospital even called him specifically, but he wouldn't even come to see you. What if something had happened to you today? As if I had committed some terrible crime. Chloe's tired voice finally came through. I'm a little tired. I want to be alone. A moment later, I heard a chair move inside and Leo came to the door. He was shocked to see me when he opened it. Chloe, sensing something was wrong, also turned her head. Her face was very pale, without her usual powerful CEO aura. Lying in the hospital bed, she looked unusually fragile. Seeing me, her dull eyes lit up for a moment, as if she was nervous or at a loss. Ethan, what are you doing here? I walked past Leo and went inside. Well, I didn't want to be badmouthed for ditching my ex-wife right after the divorce. We were classmates after all. No need to make things so ugly, right? Chloe's face turned pale, her lips pressed into a tight line. She must have seen my online feud with Leo. As proud as she was, how could she tolerate being publicly ridiculed like that? It was humiliating. Her hatred for me probably grew another layer. The thought of this annoyed me. All right, I'm here now. If there's nothing else, I'll be going. Chloe's lips twitched. Ethan, do you have to be like this? I raised an eyebrow and asked sincerely. Like what? When I had my car accident, you only came to see me on the third day. Compared to you, I've been more than decent, haven't I? When it comes to being ruthless, who can compare to you? The female lead. Chloe's face instantly turned ashen. She opened her mouth as if wanting to say something, but my phone suddenly rang. It was the housekeeper. Mr. Hamilton, most of your things are organized, but there's one box left untouched. It's full of some ceramic pieces. What would you like me to do with them? I was taken aback. Ceramic pieces? Yes, and they look like you made them yourself, so I thought I'd ask you. In my peripheral vision, I caught Chloe's equally stunned gaze, and a flash of insight hit me. Oh, I remembered. These ceramics were indeed made by the original Ethan in college. Chloe worked part-time at a DIY pottery studio. To pursue her, Ethan would go there every so often and stay for the whole afternoon. He had no talent and no patience. His mind completely focused on Chloe, so he always ended up covered in clay and leaving with a hideously ugly masterpiece. He enjoyed it, not feeling embarrassed at all. It wasn't until Chloe pointed out that he was doing it all wrong that Ethan seized the opportunity. Then you teach me. Of course, Chloe was unwilling, but Ethan was a generous spender a VIP customer at the studio, so she couldn't afford to offend him. It wasn't until Chloe quit that Ethan finally stopped. That box of art was how it was accumulated. It's nothing important. Just throw them all out. I said nonchalantly. Wait. Chloe suddenly said. You moved? Say what you will, this woman's intelligence is occasionally online. I nodded. Yeah. Chloe frowned. Where did you move? Why so suddenly? I couldn't help but laugh. Miss Sterling, Madam CEO, how many times do I have to remind you that we are divorced? What I do, where I live, has nothing to do with you anymore. Chloe suddenly choked, as if she had heard something unacceptable, her eyes turning slightly red. After a long while, she finally relented, her voice low. The ceramics, if you don't want them, I'll have someone pick them up. I gave her a strange look. Those are my things. I can keep them if I want or throw them out if I want. I don't know how that sentence hit a nerve with Chloe, but the last bit of light in her eyes suddenly vanished, like a fragile flame in the wind, finally blown out. Leo walked over worriedly. Chloe, are you okay? Chloe turned her head slightly, avoiding his hand. Leo froze, looking very awkward, but I had no interest in this drama and turned to leave. I didn't expect to be stopped by a doctor as soon as I stepped out. Huh. I looked up and saw a female doctor in her 40s looking me over. What are you doing here? Are you not feeling well? I was a bit confused, then I saw the name tag on her chest, Head of Obstetrics and Gynecology. A guess formed in my mind. The only thing Ethan could have in common with her was the previous baby. Thank you for your concern, but I'm fine. I'm here to see a friend. I answered vaguely. She seemed relieved. That's good, but you and your wife are at the right age. You can't just get rid of the next baby you have. I was completely stunned. Those two short sentences contained a massive amount of information. The baby, wasn't Chloe's miscarriage an accident? Why would the doctor say that? That's right. That night, when Ethan rushed to the hospital, Chloe had already been wheeled out of the operating room with Leo by her side. Chloe, what are you doing? Just as I was in a daze, Leo's panicked cry came from behind me. I turned around and saw Chloe had pulled out her own pushed Leo aside, and was rushing over. She stood right in front of me, blocking the female doctor, her voice tighter than ever. Doctor, this is a matter between my husband and me. It has nothing to do with you. But I was frozen, my body turning cold. I stiffly turned my neck to look at Chloe, for the first time finding this beautiful face so unfamiliar. Chloe, what does this mean? The doctor's brow gradually furrowed. You didn't know? Your wife said you were both focused on your careers and didn't want a child right now, so she chose to have an abortion. You had no idea? I don't remember how I got home. My mind was completely blown by this sudden news. I sat in the study for a long time, then closed my eyes. How could it be? The book clearly said it was because of Ethan's jealousy and a big fight with Chloe that led to her accidental miscarriage. How could it be? For some reason, thinking about this, a part of my body started to hurt, as if I could genuinely feel his despair and pain when he found out the baby was gone. This made me feel even more uncomfortable. I shook my head, trying to shake off these emotions. The housekeeper had just tidied the study. I rummaged through it and found a box specifically for college memorabilia. At the bottom, I found a college yearbook. The miscarriage story deviated from the novel. Could it be that other things were different too? I opened the first page. It was a picture from military training. The sun was scorching, and a boy in a green training uniform was smiling brightly on the stage. Behind him stood a slender, graceful figure. Although it was a bit far, anyone could tell at a glance that it was Chloe. In college, below were a few lines of small text. A girl fainted next to me on the first day of military training. I carried her to the infirmary. She was so light. I didn't expect to see her on stage today, representing the new students. So her name is Chloe. Taking a selfie as an excuse to secretly photograph the person you like. A classic move. This must have been when he first started to like Chloe. I felt a little like laughing. Ethan's crush on Chloe was such a simple cliché, love at first sight. I couldn't help but touch my face. The Ethan in the book was selfish, willful, paranoid, and extreme, quite different from the boy with a bright smile and stars in his eyes. She seems to like someone, but it's not me. What should I do? Maybe I should just give up. Tomorrow is graduation. Maybe I should confess to her, and then say goodbye to this crush. She suddenly left in the middle of taking graduation photos. I secretly followed her and found out her mom's condition had worsened. She needs a lot of money. What is she going to do? This page was supposed to have a graduation photo, but it was blank. Because of Chloe, Ethan had missed his own graduation photo. My hand trembled slightly. For some reason, the scrapbook felt so heavy, making it difficult for me to continue flipping. It felt like if I kept looking, something uncontrollable would happen. A stone seemed to be pressing on my chest, making it hard to breathe. Driven by some unknown force, I continued to flip through. It was a wedding photo. No, to be precise, it was an ID photo, the photo from their marriage certificate. Ethan still had a smile on his face, though it was more reserved than before, his lips slightly upturned, his body leaning slightly towards Chloe. But Chloe's expression was calm, completely out of place with the festive red background. I then remembered that they didn't seem to have any wedding photos. After a year of repeated deliberation, Chloe finally chose to marry Ethan. She didn't marry the person she loved most, so of course she had no interest in these tedious matters. Plus, her mother was in the hospital at the time, so they didn't have a wedding or take wedding photos, just simply got the certificate. I thought that on this page, the day he finally got to be with Chloe, Ethan would have written a lot, but in fact, there were no words on this page at all. I stared at the photo for a long time, a strange feeling of blockage in my heart. After 5 years of a secret crush and 5 years of marriage, they only had this one photo together. I suppressed the thoughts in my heart and continued to flip, only to find there were no more photos of Chloe. Only occasional sentences remained. She seems very busy lately. The company is just starting up, and she has to handle everything herself. It's so hard. I made her favorite sweet and sour pork ribs, but she came back from a social event smelling of alcohol and just fell into bed. She bought an apartment near the company, saying it's for convenience. But why is that man there too? I know I can't compare to him in her heart, but I still want to have a child that belongs to us. Am I hopeless? I went to the nursing home again today and happened to run into Jessica with her grandfather, who was being discharged. She said I was a fool, that a woman like Chloe wouldn't fall for such tricks. I turned and left on the spot because I knew she was right. I was about to give up, but she came back tonight. Maybe because a business deal didn't go well, and she was so drunk. I still couldn't resist kissing her, and for the first time, she kissed me back. There was a blank space in the middle until a certain page. She seems to be pregnant. I continued to read. Those 2 months were indeed the best time for Ethan and Chloe. Even though he knew that Chloe's change was only because of the child, he asked for nothing more. From many, many years ago, he had fallen irrevocably in love with this person. He once thought she was the light of his life, wanted to draw warmth and affection from her, but it was wrong from the very beginning. This seemingly beautiful illusion was finally ruthlessly shattered. The last page was a torn and reassembled abortion consent form. In the bottom right corner was Chloe's signature. It was like a lightning bolt suddenly struck. Sharp pain shot through me, and my whole body went numb and cold. Countless images flashed through my mind, a turbulent and overwhelming flood that threatened to swallow me whole. I felt like a dying fish before a downpour, trying to surface for air but being swept away by even bigger waves, unable to breathe, unable to move. I finally remembered. I didn't transmigrate. I am Ethan. The phone suddenly rang. Its sound particularly jarring in the quiet study. I snapped back to reality. It was a call from Jessica. I answered, and before I could speak, Jessica asked bluntly, "Did you go see Chloe at the hospital today?" Her flight for a business trip was this afternoon. Logically, she shouldn't have known about my situation. Although I had posted that comment on my feed, she shouldn't have known the details so precisely, even down to the time. Yes, I didn't deny it. How did you know? She paused. Chloe called me asking about some things related to you. Oh, I see. I nodded, not intending to ask further. Hearing my calm tone, Jessica seemed to realize something was wrong. It's so late. You're not asleep yet? She said, her tone softening as she changed the subject. Just as I was about to speak, I heard the doorbell ring. The person at the door was unbelievably Chloe. I hung up on Jessica, went downstairs, and opened the door, but I didn't let her in. The sky outside had completely darkened. The street light behind her cast a soft glow, making her face appear half in light and half in shadow. What is it? I asked. Her lips were pale. I wanted to apologize to you. It had been 3 hours since I left the hospital, and she was only now thinking of saying these things. No need, I said calmly. It's all in the past. It's too late. I don't need this apology anymore. Chloe's face turned even paler. Ethan, let me explain. I can explain that day. I really just acted on impulse, and was it an impulse, or was it premeditated? I asked softly. Being pregnant with my child. It must have been painful for you, right? Chloe froze. After a long while, she closed her eyes and said word by word. At first, I really didn't want this child. But later, as the baby grew day by day, I was just confused at the time. I regretted it too. Regretting it now, don't you think it's a bit too late? Regret filled Chloe's eyes. Her shoulders trembled as she was unable to speak. A slight smile curved my lips, making me think it was my fault you had a miscarriage, so I would be consumed by guilt, unable to use the child against you anymore, and finally set you free, right? Chloe was suddenly stunned. In her subconscious, she had decided that I was this selfish, paranoid, and hateful man. As long as the child was gone, I would have no reason to tie her down, to pester her. She opened her mouth, each word seeming to be a struggle. But this is between us. Why? Why did you suddenly attack Leo that day? I looked at her quietly. This woman, the person I had loved for 10 years, and at this moment, she was still concerned about another man. I laughed. No reason. I just don't like him. He deserved it. But the baby is gone, and we're divorced. Chloe, you can finally be with him. You should be happy. No. Chloe seemed to be suddenly triggered, stepping forward and grabbing my wrist. I don't love him. I don't love him. Ethan, please don't talk to me in that tone, okay? I frowned and was about to push her away when a light laugh came from behind. Well, it seems I've come at a bad time. Chloe froze instantly. I then saw that the person who had arrived was Jessica, who was supposed to be out of town on business. She flicked a stray hair from her ear, her beautiful eyes cold. Chloe, didn't I tell you? You were the one who wanted the divorce, so stop pestering him. Chloe bit her lip, her gaze towards her filled with equal hostility. My business with Ethan is none of your business. Jessica raised an eyebrow, walking over in her high heels and standing beside me, linking her arm with mine. My heart skipped a beat. Jessica. She turned to look at me, her smile both charming and innocent. What? Thinking of going back to your ex? My mind was a mess. I shook my head, not planning on it. But why are you suddenly back? She lifted her chin. If I didn't come back, I'd have to watch her harass you here. Chloe stared at Jessica's hand on my arm, her eyes turning red. Jessica, don't make yourself sound so noble. You know exactly what dirty thoughts you have in your mind. Jessica actually laughed. She turned back, her smile radiant. Oh, since Madame CO is so perceptive, please enlighten us. What exactly are my intentions? But Chloe refused to speak further, her lips pressed tightly together. Jessica sneered. What? Madame CEO won't say? Then I'll say it. I was just waiting and hoping for you two to get a divorce so I could pursue him. This opportunity didn't come easy, so of course I have to be diligent and seize it. The night wind carried her voice, every word hitting my eardrums, my chest silently pounding. Jessica, Chloe's voice trembled. If you had eyes, if you had a conscience, you would never have asked those questions just now. Jessica cut her off sharply. Don't tell me you really think someone will forgive you forever, always give you a chance. Chloe's face suddenly turned deathly pale, her body swaying as if she was about to fall. She mumbled, her voice broken, I really didn't mean to. Jessica seemed tired of listening and cut her off, her voice turning colder. I told you he finally forgot those things and was ready to start a new life. Do you have to bring it all up again? I suddenly looked at Jessica. Her words sounded a bit off. Could it be that she had noticed something? But Jessica didn't notice my reaction, only saying flatly, you should go and don't come back. Chloe almost fell, her eyes losing focus, looking completely lost. I didn't want to watch anymore and said to her, all right, you wanted to ask about those two things, and I've answered them. From today on, you and we have nothing to do with each other. With that, I turned to leave. Suddenly, there was a muffled sound from behind. Chloe had actually knelt down. Ethan, her voice trembled uncontrollably. I know I was wrong. It's all my fault. Please give me one more chance. Let's start over, okay? Jessica's first reaction was to turn and look at me. Her usual proud and domineering demeanor vanished, and only her beautiful bright eyes were fixed on me. Her hand hanging by her side clenched tightly, her face tense. She was very nervous. Chloe was waiting for my answer, and so was she. I turned around and looked at Chloe quietly. Chloe, in our 5 years of marriage, I wasn't as likable as Leo. Instead, I only brought you trouble, even delusionally trying to possess you, being completely immature. That's what you think, right? Chloe's face turned white. I added softly, and even this marriage itself was something I forced upon you. If it weren't for your mother, you would never have been with me, and we wouldn't have had all this entanglement. That's your assessment of this marriage, Chloe. You said this to me yourself before the car accident, didn't you? Chloe's expression was full of regret, her eyes frantic. I was just impulsive that day when I said those things. I was just too angry. I didn't. It was her words that made me fully understand what a ridiculous, despicable, and hateful figure I was in her eyes. After losing the child, I was heartbroken and began to wonder if I should let Chloe go. A man like me didn't deserve to be with her. So later, when Leo asked to meet, I agreed. I also wanted a chance to clear things up with this man who had been constantly entangled in my marriage with Chloe. But I never got to ask my question that day because Leo gave me the abortion consent form. Ethan, you don't really think you can win Chloe's heart with a child, do you? Actually, I was right next to her when you called. I heard everything. I even advised her to listen to you and stay home from the business trip. But do you know what she said? She said you were just trying to tie her down with a child, and it was so annoying. You've liked Chloe since freshman year, right? Oh, right. It was because she fainted during military training and you took her to the infirmary. Helping others is a good thing, but it's not like you should expect someone to marry you for such a small thing, right? Ethan, don't be a fool. You're always like this, and Chloe finds it very annoying. And because of that, she even found the child you two had disgusting. I didn't expect Leo to intentionally fall down the stairs, nor did I expect Chloe to appear at that exact moment. She didn't bother to listen to my explanation, crying incessantly by Leo's side, full of anxiety and worry from beginning to end. She never once glanced at me. Later, when I finally got a chance to see her, I wanted to confront her about the child, but her words stopped me. Ethan, how long are you going to keep this up? Do you know that everything about you disgusts me? I wandered aimlessly on the streets for a long time that day, my mind filled with her hateful accusations. Am I selfish? Am I extreme? Am I hateful? Until that out-of-control car hit me, and I passed out on the spot. When I woke up again, I had become another me, a version of me that existed only in Chloe's eyes. She had constructed this illusory world for me, and in this world, I was crazy and selfish, paranoid and absurd. More importantly, I instinctively no longer loved her. I stared into Chloe's eyes and said calmly, "But Chloe, in this world, I've already stopped loving you. It was my love that made you golden, and you are not worthy." I woke up the next morning to broad daylight. Following the scent of breakfast, I wandered into the kitchen where Jessica was cooking. I was stunned. "Miss Vanderbilt, what's the special occasion that warrants your presence in the kitchen?" Jessica tilted her chin towards the yard. The day the annoying person gets lost. I was speechless. Chloe had knelt outside all night yesterday. I didn't care. I pulled a still arguing Jessica back into the house, shut the door, and went straight to bed. In separate rooms, of course. I sat at the dining table and took a bite of the French toast she made. And also the day Miss Vanderbilt fails at cooking for the first time. Jessica rushed over, trying to snatch the toast away. "It's burnt. Don't eat it. I'll make you another one." I turned to avoid her. "No need. What a waste. It's not inedible." Jessica was skeptical. "Really?" I held up the toast. "Want to try?" Just as she was about to take a bite, I leaned in and kissed the corner of her lips. She froze, her ears turning red at a visible rate. "Ethan." I pinched her cheek, satisfied. I hear you. Why so loud? It's even higher pitched than your confession yesterday." Jessica was speechless. She stood for a moment, then threw herself into my arms, her voice muffled. "I thought you'd forgotten everything. Right after the accident, you forgot so much. I was afraid I'd have to take care of a big idiot for the rest of my life." I stroked her hair. "How could I? Even if I forgot myself, I never forgot you." During that time, when I didn't even recognize or believe in myself, there was still one person I never guarded against, whom I trusted completely. She looked up, smiling contentedly. Finally got smart for once. This young lady didn't love you for all these years for nothing. Something tugged at my heart, and I couldn't help but say, Jessica, how can you be even blinder than me? Falling for someone like me? She said smugly. Clearly, my taste is better. I know how to wait for someone worth waiting for. I smiled too. Yes, you're the best. I always run into a certain guy lately. He's there in class. He's there when I play badminton. He's there at my part-time job. It seems like a coincidence, but his methods are too clumsy. He can't act, and everything is written on his face. It's a bit annoying. It's not like I haven't been liked by other guys, but none of them are as blatant as him. I thought he would give up after a while, but who knew he was so stubborn? I deliberately spent time with Leo, trying to make him back off. The sadness in his eyes was palpable, and sure enough, he didn't appear for a long time after that. I breathed a sigh of relief, but also felt that people like him are always fickle. He's a rich kid after all. He's never really suffered. He's different from people like us. I remembered what Leo said, and my mood soured even more. I even found an excuse to turn down Leo's hints about getting together. I don't have the time or energy for a relationship. I have to take care of my parents and support my family. Fortunately, Leo was always understanding and knew my difficulties. He didn't bring it up again and instead focused on helping me. But accidents always happen. Suddenly, my mother's condition worsened, and she needed a huge sum for medical expenses. Just when I thought I had hit a dead end, that guy showed up again. What do you want? I asked. He shook his head. I sneered internally, not sure if I was laughing at him or myself. Then let's be together, I heard myself say. I knew what he wanted, yet he was still putting on an act. But I had no choice. I needed money, so I had to sell myself. His relationship with his family wasn't good, so he always liked to cling to me. But I was so busy, where would I find the time? Gradually, he started seeking me out less. I thought he had finally come to his senses, but it turned out he was making trouble for Leo. I told him off several times, but he always denied it, and we always ended up parting on bad terms. He finally quieted down. I breathed a sigh of relief, only to see him at the nursing home, chatting with another woman. It was Jessica. I knew her, his childhood friend from a similar background. Without me, they would have been a perfect match. I'm a woman. I know that look in her eyes when she looks at him. He would complain to her, bicker with her, things he would never do with me. How could he? He said he liked me, but he was with another woman. He thought I was drunk that day, but I knew I wasn't. An unexpected possessiveness consumed me, catching even me off guard. When I found out I was pregnant, for some reason, I actually felt a sense of relief. With a child, I had to be with him, right? I don't know how I made the decision to lie on that operating table. I thought it was a punishment for him, but I was wrong. I was 1,000 times more miserable than I could have imagined. Everything fell apart, spiraling out of control. I don't know how I said those words. I must have been crazy. The moment he signed the divorce papers, I realized I was truly insane. How could I let him go? I can't let him go. But by the time I came to my senses, it was too late. I fired Leo, spread the news that he had been taking kickbacks and leaking company secrets, and he couldn't survive in the industry. He begged at my door for days and finally left the city in disgrace, disappearing without a trace. I couldn't bear to change the contact name on my phone, but one day when I was drunk and called, I found it was a disconnected number. Later, I heard he and Jessica had a grand wedding. I finally realized I had completely lost him. It was raining heavily outside, the dampness seeping in, almost reaching my heart. It was my fault. It was all my fault. I was the one who lost him and lost myself. I'm sorry. Next time, please don't meet me again. I saw Chloe again 3 years later. My mom is not doing well. She wants to see you. Looking at this haggard, thin woman, I almost didn't recognize her as the once glamorous and beautiful Chloe. In just 3 short years, she looked like she had aged 10 years. I heard she had gone through several college classmates to find my current whereabouts. Our relationship was over, but thinking of the frail old woman lying in bed, I couldn't bring myself to refuse outright. When I asked, my voice flat, Chloe's eyes flickered with a hint of hope, though she quickly masked it. Whenever you're free. I can come pick you up. No need, I said. Send me the address. I'll go by myself. Jessica, who was sitting beside me peeling an apple, glanced up at me, then continued with her donzoa without a word. but I could feel her fingers pause for a second. She knew I was softening. After Chloe left, she tossed the apple core into the trash can. You really going? I nodded. The old lady was always nice to me. It's the least I can do. Just don't get dragged back into that mess, she said, reaching over to smooth the crease between my brows. 3 years ago, you made your choice. Don't let a single visit undo it all. I know, I said, taking her hand. I'm not the same person I was back then. The nursing home was the same as I remembered, just quieter. Chloe's mother was lying in bed, her breathing shallow. When she saw me, her turbid eyes lit up slightly. Ethan, you're here. Mrs. Sterling, I called softly, pulling up a chair beside the bed. She grabbed my hand, her skin thin and cool. That girl, she's been stubborn all her life. But she's not bad at heart. These past few years, she's been taking care of me alone, working herself to the bone. Her voice trailed off, and she coughed weakly. Chloe, who was standing by the window, turned her head, her profile sharp against the light. I looked away. She's your daughter. It's only right. The old lady sighed. I know about you and her. And Jessica. That girl showed me photos of your wedding. You look happy. I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. Good. Good. She murmured, patting my hand. Happiness is hard to come by. Hold on to it. We stayed for a while, chatting about trivial things, her favorite flowers, the weather, the nurse who brought her porridge every morning. Chloe didn't say much, just stood there silently, occasionally refilling the old lady's water glass. When it was time to leave, the old lady held my hand tightly. Come again, if you have time. I will, I said. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in warm hues. Chloe walked beside me, keeping a distance. Thank you for coming. It's for her, not you, I said. She nodded, her lips pressed into a thin line. I know. I won't bother you again after this. You and Jessica, live well. I stopped and looked at her. For the first time in years, I really saw her. Not the cold CEO, not the woman who broke my heart, just a tired, lonely person. You too, I said finally. Let go of the past. Start over. Her eyes widened slightly, then she looked down at her feet, a bitter smile tugging at her lips. It's too late for me. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But that was no longer my concern. I turned and walked away, not looking back. Jessica was leaning against the car, waiting for me. When she saw me, she smiled, and in that moment, all the lingering shadows from the past seemed to melt away. Let's go home, I said, opening the car door for her. Home, she echoed, taking my hand. Race you there? I laughed. You're on. I finally nodded. All right, but I have something later, so I probably can't stay long. Chloe's dull eyes lit up, as if she hadn't expected me to agree so readily. She was at a loss for words. It's okay. It's great that you're willing to go. Her face showed an unprecedented level of awkwardness and nervousness as she said in a low voice. I'm already so grateful that you're willing to go. I called home, then went with Chloe to visit her mother. Surprisingly, her mother was no longer in the nursing home. The car eventually stopped in front of a dilapidated tenement building. Oh right, I heard that a few years ago, Chloe and Leo had a falling out. Leo, full of resentment, deliberately joined a rival company and step by step pushed Chloe to the brink of collapse. Her company went bankrupt, she was deep in debt, and apparently she even borrowed money from classmates. Now she had fallen to this state. Not only could she not afford the high fees of the nursing home, she didn't even have a place to live, barely managing to rent a room in a place like this. When we reached the door, Chloe didn't go in immediately. She placed her hand on the door, took a deep breath, and finally pushed it open. Chloe's mother was lying in bed, looking withered and breathing faintly. Mom, Chloe called out. Hearing her voice, her mother opened her eyes but slowly turned her head away and closed them again. Chloe walked over and said softly, Mom, Ethan is here to see you. Her mother stiffened and tremblingly looked up. Auntie, I greeted her. Her mother's eyes instantly turned red, tears rolling down and landing on her bony hands. Chloe rushed to wipe her tears, but her mother pushed her away. Get out. I don't have a daughter like you. Chloe was caught off guard and fell to the ground, tears welling up in her eyes. I felt a bit awkward, not knowing how their mother-daughter relationship had become like this. Auntie, don't be angry, I said. But her mother's tears fell even harder. She opened her mouth, her voice hoarse and choked. I know everything, Ethan. It's Chloe who let you down. It's our family who let you down. I was silent for a moment, then shook my head. It's all in the past. We all have our own lives. We have to look forward, don't you think? Her mother's body trembled, and she just turned her head and cried. Ethan, you're a good boy. You don't come back here again. Chloe, her eyes red and swollen, wanted to walk me downstairs. No need. Just take good care of your mom, I said, looking at my phone. Chloe gave a bitter smile. Ever since she found out we were divorced, she hasn't acknowledged me. Seeing me every day just makes her angry. I had no patience to listen to this, nor was I interested. I took out my car keys, ready to leave. Chloe hesitated. Ethan, are you in a hurry? Do you want to grab a bite or have some tea? I nodded. I am in a hurry. I have to pick up Harper from school. What a tragedy. If I'm late, her mom will make me stand in the corner. Chloe looked as if she had been struck by lightning. Her body swayed, and her face turned ashen. What? Oh, I forgot to tell you. Harper, my daughter, I said with a smile. You haven't met her. She has her mom's eyes, but my nose and mouth. She's beautiful. Chloe couldn't say another word. She collapsed onto the sofa, slowly covering her face, a sob escaping her lips. I turned and left. The moment the door closed, a heart-wrenching cry came from inside. I ignored it and walked straight out, rushing to the kindergarten. Daddy, a soft, fragrant little bundle threw herself into my arms. I lifted the little one up. Let's go. Mommy made something delicious at home today. The little girl wrinkled her nose, looking pitiful. Daddy, I want to eat your cooking. I tapped her nose. You got it. The missing piece in my heart had long been filled with love. The past is all but smoke. When I walked into the house with Harper in my arms, Jessica was setting the table. She looked up, smiling. Took you long enough. I was about to send a search party. Harper wriggled out of my arms and ran to her, hugging her legs. Mommy, Daddy said he'll cook for me tomorrow. Jessica raised an eyebrow at me. Oh? Someone's trying to curry favor with his daughter. I walked over and wrapped my arms around her waist, pressing a kiss to her forehead. Just making up for the time I missed when she was a baby. She leaned back into my chest. How was it? At the old lady's place. Fine, I said, glancing at Harper, who was now coloring on the floor. Her mother's not doing well. Chloe's in a mess, but it's none of our business. Jessica nodded, turning to look at me. Good. Let's not talk about her anymore. Harper's been asking for a puppy. What do you think? Harper's head shot up. Really? Can we, Daddy? I laughed. If Mommy says yes, then yes. That night, after Harper was asleep, Jessica and I sat on the balcony, sharing a glass of wine. The stars were bright, and the breeze was warm. Sometimes I still can't believe it, she said, resting her head on my shoulder. That we're here like this. I took her hand, lacing our fingers together. Me too. But I'm glad we are. She looked up at me, her eyes shining. Remember when we were kids? You'd follow me around, carrying my school bag like a little servant. I feigned offense. Hey, I was a very loyal servant. She giggled. Yes, you were. And now you're my very loyal husband. I kissed her, always. The past did linger, sometimes, in the creak of an old floorboard, in the scent of a familiar flower, in a passing mention of a name. But it no longer hurt. It was just a story, one that had shaped us but didn't define us. A few months later, I heard from a classmate that Chloe's mother had passed away. Chloe had left the city shortly after, no one knew where. I didn't go to the funeral. Some goodbyes are better left unsaid. Harper's 6th birthday came around, and we adopted a golden retriever puppy she named Sunny. She ran around the yard, chasing Sunny, her laughter filling the air. Jessica leaned against me, and I thought, this is what happiness feels like. Not perfect, not without scars, but real, warm, ours. I finally understood what Jessica had meant all those years ago. Some things are worth waiting for, and some people are worth fighting for. And I'd fight for this, for her, for Harper, for this life we'd built, for as long as I lived.